Oh, me, it's not me again. It's the Seventh Lair podcast.
Hello and welcome to the third episode of the Seventh Layer podcast. I am Kieran and I'm joined by my cultist. But before we get into that, I want to make a quick announcement. If you've not already heard, Vengeance University has collaborated with Blackcraft Cult to support a fellow deathbat in their time of need. All proceeds go directly to this special deathbat as she battles cancer. If you haven't already done so, please check out www.blackcraftcult.com, search the keywords Vengeance University, or if you are in the official Avenged Sevenfold Discord server, just go to the pin posts in the Vengeance University channel and support by either donating to the GoFundMe or buying a Blackcraft Cult Vengeance University t-shirt, or by even just sharing the links to both. All of that is extremely helpful. Every little bit helps. Remember, we take care of each other. On with the podcast. So yeah, as I said before, I'm Kieran and I'm joined here today by Emmy, Dark Lord, Wildcat and Vengeance. How are we all today?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Yeah.
Doing awesome. How are you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Been cracking up.
How have we been in the last couple of weeks? I know for me personally, obviously, I've had Bloodstock Festival. I feel like every week I'm talking about going to gigs, which is really nice after the last year and a half. But yeah, I went to
Thanks,
Bloodstock
Kieran.
Festival. Yeah, I'm rubbing it in now, aren't I? Went to Bloodstock, had a great time. But enough about me. How have you all been?
I've been playing COD and doing schoolwork and just that's about it.
The way to live life.
Oh, absolutely.
No, I've just been spending a lot of time with my family over the last 2 weeks and just working away on various stuff, getting back into art and, just having a good time, Keeping busy.
Keeping busy, that's the way forward.
Hell yeah.
Love that. Dark Lord,
What about you, Doc?
been busy? A certain announcement you need to make at all?
Announcement? I don't know. I am currently on vacation. I'm currently out of town at a hotel.
Very nice.
You guys always traveling, pricks.
I do travel quite a bit. I like to keep moving. I'm a drifter, you see? No, not really. I just like to go places sometimes.
Just like to wander around, do you?
Yeah. But that's about it. Other than that, just catching up and hanging out with you guys on Discord and wherever else we decide to chill.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Awesome
shucks.
stuff.
Love that.
And if you guys didn't know, you can find us on the official Avenged Sevenfold Discord.
Oh, does that feel good to say?
It feels great to say.
It's a relief.
We're really rubbing it in, aren't we?
Sitting at about 23, almost 24,000 members so far.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
So, but since everyone's good, I want to give the people a little rundown of what we're going to be doing today, if everyone's cool with that.
Yeah,
Yes.
Go right ahead, my man.
Yeah. So we're going to start off with decentralization and what that means to artists and creators. Move on over to royalties, and again, what that means to artists and creators. Proof of ownership. Utilities. Everybody's favorite thing, or most people's favorite thing, I should say. And cap it off with a little introductory talk about burning, what that means.
Because
It's a
we're
word that's thrown
pyromaniacs.
around. We are pyromaniacs. We're going to set the podcast on fire a little bit. No.
Holy shit.
We love that.
But yeah, to start it off, I want to put it over to my boy Kieran.
Yo, so yeah,
Awesome.
this is
Decentralization.
it's a big one. It's a big topic, decentralization. Now, a lot of us know already what decentralization is in terms of basic terms. It's basically a good way that it's not government controlled money. It's not about what they want us to do with the money or how they see us spending our money. Decentralization is important with cryptocurrency and NFTs for multiple reasons, really. And as I just mentioned, a major thought process is that the government has less control of the money, how it's spent, and their view into the privacy of our money. On top of this, though, the fact that with NFTs we can see the entire history of an art piece's sales is another kind of contributing factor to why it's important. So really, the blockchain and NFTs specifically have allowed artists to connect with their communities more directly without relying on galleries, for example. In fact, this is a marketplace in truth because crypto is linked to crypto exchanges. Where the money moves, everyone sees it, and that's important to a lot of art collectors and artists themselves, of course. How it's been beforehand, you go to a gallery, you see their art, and you may obviously purchase that art. But not necessarily an artist may never necessarily see where his art or her art is going. So with the way art sales have worked to date, we buy from a gallery. A buyer may get to know their artist and vice versa, but sometimes an artist will ask, well, who bought my painting? And the gallery will say, no, can't do that. That is not the information you need to know. With decentralization and using like the OpenSea and so on and so forth, you can see where your art has gone, who is looking after it, who is appreciating it, and who is obviously purchasing it. I'm going to quote a artist called, and I'm sorry if I butchered the name, Ruanth Thyssen. They were asked, as an artist, is he concerned with a hypothetical owner of an NFT of his art burning a work? Now, as we mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, we'll talk about burning a bit more in detail later. But his reply to that was no. I think that's completely legitimate. If we really talk about decentralization, then you have to give the owners of the work that power. Otherwise, you're not decentralizing the art. Effectively, given the purchase, once you're an owner, it's if you so choose to burn that art, that's your choice. That's what decentralization is all about. It's having that power over your own property, effectively. So let's go further down here. Now, every blockchain has its rules after mining Ethereum. And a lot of people seem to think that there's a big thing about a difference between decentralization and hold on, this is a big word. Democratization. There we go. Thank you very much.
Got there in the end.
Yes, we will definitely touch more on that, the democratization, another time. But it is an important thing to look at, that even though these art pieces and the world of Ethereum is a lot more decentralized, different blockchain has its rules. But again, I think that's something for another time. So going back to the art, found this piece whilst researching over the week that I found really interesting, that also adds to the whole point of decentralization. So one of the market's greatest challenges for works where the artist is no longer alive is to verify the authenticity and provenance of an art piece. So in a 2014 report, the FAEI, so the Fine Arts Expert Institute in Geneva, stated that over 50% of the artworks it had examined were either forged or not attributed to the correct artists. And blockchain is a big part that can change this. As a public, decentralized list of records that are linked and secured using cryptography, blockchain's key feature in its fragmented nature, hosted by millions of computers simultaneously, no centralized version of the information exists for a hacker to access or corrupt. Therefore, blockchain is currently believed to be the most secure way to transfer digital art. When it comes to selling artworks, two things are important, and this is a quote from Verisart CEO Robert Norton. Is the artwork real, and do I have the authority to sell it to you? Blockchain's capacity to track and verify authenticity through timestamps on transactions and cryptographic signatures can solve that problem. Now, keeping on with decentralization, but a really interesting article that I found whilst just looking into this. I kind of stumbled across this by accident. So this article is from 2019, April, and it's about a gallery called Manor Contemporary. And they kind of use decentralization in real art forms. So obviously we are focusing on NFTs as a whole, but I thought it would be like a little cool aspect to look at as well. And it was a case of the first iteration took form of a website and required artists to pay $10 monthly fee to post their works for sale and connect with potential buyers. And as part of the deal, artists took home 60% of their sales and Manor received 40%, which is quite a decent chunk for Manor, to be honest. All works on that platform were priced between $500 and $5,000. But the second version of Decentralized launched about 9 months after that. And I personally think it's a lot better. It took form of an app, and the fee rose to $20 per month for the artist to pay to promote their art. But they did keep all their sales money, and that's why the price went up to $20. So that app utilised the blockchain technology, allowing artists to receive royalties if their work was sold in the secondary market. But this was used in more physical art pieces rather than the NFTs that we know. Going on from that, Manor have said that they afford affordable studio space, programming and workshops to artists in the hope of helping them deal with practical matters like filing taxes and photographing artworks, and offering ways to foster community. Since then, they've got the main place for their event was staged at Jersey Space, and over the course of the last year or so, they also established spaces in Miami, Chicago, and Los Angeles that put on similar offerings. And as one of the artists said themselves, if they deal with collectors directly, they control their destiny. It's giving power back to the artist, which is what we want with decentralization. Any thoughts or questions on that, guys? Because I've got royalties to move on to next, but I just thought it was a really interesting piece that happened with physical art as well.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting to hear. As an artist myself and, photographer as well, it's really cool to hear that, blockchain and decentralization can really help artists in terms of making sure that, as you said, there are artworks attributed to the wrong artist, and blockchain can help by, keeping a permanent record of everything, making sure everything's correct, and people can see that history so they know what they're getting is the real deal, and giving artists their power that they deserve, It's really cool stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
100%.
if you don't mind me offering my 2 cents on here, I definitely
Cool.
feel like it's. I almost want to say liberating. I'm going to say liberating for artists
Works for me.
because yeah, I mean art because usually it comes from a sort of hobbyist kind of thing and then turns into like a self-made business and that kind of thing. It can be very finicky, especially when it comes to buying and selling art and keeping track of who you just bought from or who the hell actually made the art that you own and everything. I feel like artists need they deserve that. I feel art's not fun. It's not it's a bit of a finicky industry. So I'm glad that
Yeah,
things like decentralization can help sort of clear the air, I guess.
absolutely. It just makes the whole process of buying and selling art a lot safer, a lot more trustworthy. I think it's great.
Yeah, I agree.
Amazing stuff.
Any
Yeah,
other thoughts?
totally agree. Um, anything? Yeah, from anyone else? Dark Lord, you got anything to say, or do you want me to carry on with the royalties now?
Carry on, man. It all fits hand in hand. It all makes sense. If anybody's been paying attention to what we talk about, that's what the blockchain does. Is it's there to protect artists, creators, owners. All the information is stored there, and if something is removed as far as that information, the blockchain stops.
Yes.
So you can't do anything without the blockchain recording them. There's no getting around to figuring out, oh, I'm going to steal this piece off of something. It's all recorded there.
I was gonna say, forget Big Brother is watching you. Just remember, blockchain is watching you.
Blockchain is watching you.
But it also gives you the ability so everyone's watching you, but it's not in that kind of like strange Big Brother way. It's more of it's a safety net that people know that this art has gone to the correct people and it's not being.
Yeah.
There's a lot less fraud involved with this kind of stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
People are getting sick and tired of being scammed for physical art. Well, now blockchain's coming along, just like, hey, let's not get scammed, eh?
Exactly
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So
And
cool stuff.
also, like you said, it's a new way for people to, you don't have to sell your pieces to art houses anymore or worry about, oh, am I going to get displayed because I haven't sold before
Yeah.
or whatever. You put it up online. You are the creator, the producer, and the seller for the most part. So I know in New York, there's a few different art houses that display NFTs by different artists in their art houses. So it's revolutionizing every part of the industry as far as that, Of course, you still have your standard mom and pop shops where you go in and you buy your art and all that. But to have, I can post it online and get a direct sale through there, or I can put it into an art house on a screen and display my creation that way.
Yeah.
It's kind of putting everything together, and it just goes to show that this is going to revolutionize everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it stops a lot of the more fraudulent scenarios that go on with art. As an artist myself, it's like I've never enjoyed the idea of third parties being involved. My art is my art. I enjoy the sort of direct communication between like vendor and buyer and everything. I enjoy that, and in fact, I don't. It's just the idea of some corporation being like, like, can we have this? And I'm just like, no. I just sort of, it's really exciting, and I feel like it'll help a lot more artists come out of their shell.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
feel like that might be something that deters a lot of artists from selling their art. It's one
Yeah.
thing to create, but it's another thing to sell. Maybe the lack of decentralization is what's deterring a lot of artists already. So
Yeah.
hopefully, with the increase of decentralization and the normalization, dare I say, hopefully it'll make the art industry sort of bloom again. I hope.
Absolutely.
I hope so.
Going off of that, it goes back to what I said in the first episode. Decentralization gives the power back to the people. And without getting too political, our whole society is now turning away from centralized government and centralized standards.
As it
And,
should.
Yeah.
and eventually we're going to get to a point where we are completely decentralized from what we know now.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. It's just like a breath of fresh air, I guess. Like, people have been so sick and tired of, feeling like they have to run everything through a third party to get anywhere. Decentralization comes in and says, "Hi, you can do this yourself now. Do it. Go ahead." It's great. I think it could really help a lot of people, especially in the art world, but just, I'll touch on utilities later, but, there's so much it can offer.
Yeah, and even just down to the basics, like I mentioned before, like just how cool is it to be an artist and to then have a conversation with the person that's buying your thing, and that you can speak about the art, you can go on to a tangent, like become like, I don't know, mates out of it, whatever. Like even if it doesn't reach like friend capabilities, just how cool is it to be, rather than going, oh, I'm selling some art, oh, I don't know where it's gone, to go, this person's chatting to me about my art because he or she or they have bought it. Like it's just, I just think it's an
You
awesome feature.
become a trusted artist as well. People trust you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to shill this early into the episode, but we just discovered Zachary Winterton and his artwork earlier this week, thanks to Big Tuck. And now I think everybody's enamored with his work. And
Yep.
we even see M. Shadows bought a one of one of his. And, that's something he wouldn't necessarily have in the standard market. He has full control on how he's going to do it. He sells some pieces one of ones, other ones he sells them fractionalized. He has
I think
that
it's a
control.
beautiful thing, though. I think it's a beautiful thing.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
a great thing, and it all goes to him.
Exactly.
There's no having to pay 40% to this art house, 60% for this, or whatever the fees are. I'm no expert on it, but it all goes to him.
Yeah, like profit
Yeah.
margins, kind of like how sites like whatchamacallit, Redbubble, if you want to sell, let's say, a print of an artwork that you've made, you get your own incentive, but part of what's made from that sale goes to Redbubble for them to distribute the like the product to the person who's bought it. And as someone who has I've made a Redbubble before, and I've always been highly fucking frustrated with how little I get from something that I've put so much time in. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, it's not easy, and it's not simple, it's not quick to make the art that I make. So it always bothers me a lot to know that most of what I have made from this artwork that I spent so much time on, it goes to some third party. So the idea of all of that going directly to me and knowing exactly who's, bought that from me, I find that really liberating and empowering, to say the least.
100%.
Absolutely.
And it all boils down as well to, before we go on to royalties, it all boils down to what you're saying about Zachary. It's community, and like the Discords and the Twitters that are involved with NFTs, for the most part, are very community based, and that's how it should be. That's my favourite part of NFTs entirely.
Absolutely. Love it.
Royalties, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so
Let's go.
we already know a little bit about royalties. If you create an art piece and it gets minted, you can set a certain percentage that every sale after that, the money comes to you. But royalties, and I found this out again this last week, is a lot bigger than we see. So I'm going to give you quite a few examples, some good, some not so good, of royalties in the NFT world. So Yeah. So, for example, first person we're going to talk about is Jacques Green. He is a electronic musician, and for example, he had a track called "Another Girl." From 2011, it has, at the time of this article, 7 million plays approx on Spotify, which gave him about $27,904 in royalties. We won't go too far into Spotify, but we know how they pay their artists. Recently, he sold a mesmerizing audio loop and GIF of a stippled figure called Promise for 13 Ethereum, which equated to, at the time, $16,037. So if you let that settle in for a moment, that is what, just 11k under the royalties he made in 10 years from that first song, and he did that in a 24-hour auction. So it's, 6-second AV loop, bid upon 24 hours, brought in almost half the royalties of a song that people around the world may have played as they walked to work, took dinner, and so on and so forth over the course of a decade, which is insane when you think about it. That's mainly to push the point that royalties aren't so great in other places, but they can happen here. So smart contract standards remain big for innovation on Ethereum and continue to bring in more and more individuals attempting to program value and contracts in new ways on the internet. So the ERC-721, which is the NFT standard that led to the booming market of NFTs, is now being revised to allow for a more dynamic standard for paying out royalties no matter the platform that mints the NFT. More on that later. A little while ago, a consist mesh portfolio company called Trium created a project called Euler Beats, which is 27 algorithmically generated art and music NFTs. Now, bit of a side note, the name is a nod to the 18th century mathematician's Poynting function PHI or phi, and that's what I'll say about that. As the number of prints in circulation grows for a particular original, the price of issuing its next print increases to an exponential rate. Now, these NFTs I mentioned before that use the NFT standard Ethereum uses slightly different thing called the ERC-1155. Now, there's a lot of jargon. Don't really take part of this, but it's worth mentioning it anyway. This means that with every future sale, the original LP holder gets a royalty of 8%, with another 2% going to Ethereum. In 2 weeks, the smart contracts governing the unique LPs paid out 912 Ethereum in royalties automatically. So royalties are a big thing, and it's a big discussion, and it's getting better for artists as we go on. Now then, it's important to point out there that I mentioned Euler Beats. If their website were ever to shut down, you would still be able to run the art and beat generator script stored in the Ethereum chain. That's back onto centralization mostly. Now, NFT royalties allow artists to profit from the increasing value of work over time. Typically 10% is kind of what people set, and address concerns long held by physical artists regarding fair payment systems. So, this is where we talk about Binance for a bit. Now, Binance are going through a bit of a moment in their lifespan, but a little while ago, they set their standard rate for royalties of artists at 1% secondary royalty rate, which is unacceptable, to be honest. 1% is awful for an artist. So I'm going to quote a bit of an interview with an artist called Matt Kane that he did for NFT Radio in April of this year, about how artists, collectors and platforms came together to institute a standard 10% royalty going to the artists for secondary sale. Now, in 2019, Super Rare had began setting 3% royalty rates on secondary sales, which didn't sit right with Kane and other artists, who raised the issue on Twitter. Fast forward to the end of March 2020, all the major platforms of the time had agreed in principle to an industry-wide standard of minimum 10% secondary sales for artists' minted NFTs. So there was a lot of progress there. Again, we're talking March 2020. This Binance thing is a lot more recently, I believe. So it's obviously gone downhill again. But I thought I'd point out that little part there because it's quite bad. Or it's very bad to set 1%. Any thoughts on that, my cultists, before I carry on with some better news?
I know that I'm pretty sure sites like Threadless and Redbubble, their like margin that they give out to artists was, I've seen as low as like 20%, maybe even 12%. I think for Redbubble it's like 40%, which is a little better, I guess. But I feel like that's disgraceful, actually.
Absolutely.
Pardon my strong language, but 1%, that, as you said, unacceptable. My
Yeah.
God.
1% on
Frightful.
that is on the secondary rather than the sale rights, but yeah, not
Yeah, I
not good at
mean,
all.
just think about how many times, especially some of the big NFT projects, imagine how many times those change hands. And,
Yeah.
if you're a new artist getting into this space and say you hit it off and you get a project that, ends up trading hands a lot, you're gonna be kind of stuck with just 1%. Like, it ain't fair. It's gotta be made
Yeah.
fair for all the artists and just everyone involved.
Needs
Well,
to be a
that's
lot more even.
that's also where smart contracts come into play, as far as the importance of you have that other ability to set things, to receive more, to receive less, however you want to do it.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
We love smart contracts.
And smart contracts.
So who
But I have nothing else.
who wants to hear some happier and groundbreaking news instead of that stuff?
Oh, do tell us.
Me! Oh my God!
Let's
Do you want a
do
drum roll?
let's do a little drum roll, shall we? So yeah, let's talk about Taylor Bennett, who is the brother of Chance the Rapper, who I do not know. Alas, he is important.
Neither do I.
So he
Very,
released.
very big rapper.
Right, thank you.
Never
Good.
heard of him.
He released a record, well, fairly recently, I assume, and he sold off 75% of the rights of that entire album, of one of his upcoming recordings at the time, through separate NFTs. So by doing this, both artists the artist Taylor Bennett held on to 25% of the respective copyrights, but the other 75% of the copyrights were owned by NFT owners. Now, this is through something called Ditto Music, and Taylor Bennett is an affiliated artist of that music. So according to Ditto Music co-founder and CEO Lee Parsons, where this gets interesting is after these NFT sales have been completed, because it means multiple people will be able to automatically collect digital royalties from their share of Bennett's music via Blue Box, which is what you're seeing on your screen right now. Buying copyright is very difficult in standard times. You have to know where to buy it. You need to spend thousands on legal fees, and you can't buy it in small parts. So by contrast, NFT and blockchain make the asset liquid and make the. Let's rephrase that. By contrast, NFTs and blockchain make the asset liquid and easily tradable. It therefore provides the ability for an instant transfer of ownership, as we know with NFTs, and this is a true first for the music industry. So Taylor Bennett, who is selling 75% of his recorded music copyright this week via Blue Box, goes even further and says this is the end of major record labels, publishing rights organisations, and the music industry as we know it. So that is insane. To effectively go, yep, we are going to give you the rights. So every time a song is played, like on TV or something like that, or it's used in a film, not only is Bennett getting his royalties from it like he would in standard day music, but the money's not going to be going to that record label. It's going to be going to the fans that have those NFT copyright rights.
Do you mind if I lend some perspective on what this kind of means for artists or
Please do.
for people who hold? Basically, what this means is that, let's say, hypothetically, I'm stressing the hypothetically because I don't want to ring alarm bells or anything. Let's say, Bohemian Rhapsody. People are able to purchase, shares of royalties for this song. And then the implication of that means that every time that's used somewhere, whether it's on TV, whatever it might be, people, earn royalties because of it being played. And you think about how big of a song that is. So for bigger and bigger artists, this means, this is really exciting for a lot of people, basically. or to bring it more towards our audience that we're catering to. Let's say Hail to the King. People can buy royalties for that. Every time that's played, which is absolutely countless at this point. Every time that's played or used somewhere, people they earn the royalties for for owning that and everything, or owning their share, I should say. you know, just to lend some perspective on what this actually means, I guess.
It's just amazing stuff. I mean, just,
It's
you know,
mind-blowing.
it really is. It really does bring kind of power to the phrase, you know, giving back to the fans. Like, yeah, sure, you have to put a bit of money in to start off with, but, you know, think about it down the road, just like what it can actually do, especially as, you know, NFTs and all of this kind of stuff, you know, grows and develops and expands. Like, there is a lot of potential to this stuff, and
People
that's what
might
I
not
love.
think about it that much. I don't mean to butt in, Wildcat,
No,
but
no, no,
like
no, no. You're
people
all
might
good.
not think about, you know, what the future implications or, you know, what this might hold in the future. People don't often think about the utilities and stuff like, you know,
Exactly.
holding like a specific share of royalties for a massive song. People don't think about this. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's important that we start addressing this sooner rather than later, so people, one, aren't late to it, and two, because it's quite frankly very exciting, in my humble opinion.
Yeah.
I have a question
Ask
Sure.
that I
away,
know
dog.
can be answered. Do we know if it was all the same percentage that these guys received as far as the NFTs? Or was there different breakdowns of percentages?
That is a fantastic question. I really thank you for asking. I do not know.
That's fine. It's fair.
Thank you for your honesty,
I
Kira.
imagine that sort of thing could be based on, you know, scenario to scenario. I imagine there could be some artists that go, okay, you all get an equal shot, you know, come get in. Or they might do it in tiers, like, okay, we've got a slightly more expensive one, but you get more out of it down the road. It's just how they decide to do it, I think.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely is awesome. I know also, and I'm going to fuck this name up. Joe Bonamassa, I think is how you say it. He's a blues guitarist. He
I
did
say
the
Bonamassa, but
Bonamassa. Okay. He's a blues guitarist. He released a song called "Broken Record," and he gave all the rights away to one person,
Damn.
or he auctioned it off to one person.
Damn.
And the great thing
That's
about owning the copyrights to this is not just that you get the royalties from it. And say you wanted to create, say you're an NFT owner of one of these songs, and you have the copyrights to it, and you want to create a movie, you have full right to choose and use that song because you own it. You own that song now. Like,
Yep.
job done. You want to make a game and you want to put a song in it that's appealing to like people of that genre. That song's yours to use. Put in a game, you're not going to have a lawsuit.
so hypothetically speaking, if Vanilla Ice held part of the royalties to Under Pressure, he could have very easily used that without having to go through the legal process with Queen over it.
Oh,
Just,
man.
you know, I hate that that's what popped into my head, but that's my way of thinking about it, essentially.
Whatever works for you,
Definitely
man.
a agreeable way to think about it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna finish off the royalty part of this podcast with one last little story about an actual company simply called Band Royalty. So the company's platinum music catalog consists of over 50 songs from top artists like Beyonce, Justin Timberlake, Cher, Missy Elliott, Rihanna, so on and so forth. They sell NFTs. Music fans can now not only enjoy listening to the songs, but they can buy and hold blockchain-secured band NFTs, which allow them to earn crypto directly from the royalties paid on the songs from the catalog. The band, when I say band like that, it's because it's the name band. The band royalty ecosystem enables fans to earn through trading band royalty NFTs on OpenSea Marketplace, as well as from their own personal website. Music royalty pools by staking the band NFTs. Earning crypto from popular music through band royalty NFTs is easy. The first step is obviously to secure a band royalty NFT, and then every music lover. You what?
I have a question.
Fire away.
Because I'm a little bit confused. So is that when I know you said the name is bands, but that's not for a specific song. That's royalties directly from the artist, correct?
Yeah, so band
From their overall catalog.
Yeah, the company's called Band Royalty, and they have over 50 songs from big artists like the ones I mentioned: Beyonce, Jay-Z, will.i.am, so on and so forth.
So huge artists. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. People, household names for sure. And then you can buy their NFTs, which allows you to earn crypto directly from the royalties of the actual songs. And obviously,
This
band
is not
royalty.
like a big
makes
legal
royalty.
process either. This is just buying a share of the royalties in the form of an NFT. You know.
Correct. Yeah, and then
Simple as that.
you get your royalties paid to you.
Yeah, imagine just being able to walk into a shop and just buy, the royalties to some of these tracks. Like, that's how simple this could be. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, there is a specific way you got to go through it. It's not just as simple as owning the royalties. So,
Oh,
as I mentioned before, it's still pretty simple, but there's like
yeah.
a specific route to go about it. So, like I say, the first thing you
Gotcha.
need to do is to own an NFT,
Yeah.
and after securing the banned NFT, the holder can then stake them in one of three royalty pools to secure streaming royalty from the complete banned music catalogue pool of artists. Now, those three pools are publishing is one of them, synchronization is another, or mechanical/public performance is another one. Now, I won't get too
Okay.
deep into those, but banned royalty NFT stakers will also get an additional 5% of OpenSea Ethereum trades through those sales. So again, that is pretty. I wouldn't say it's groundbreaking as the thing I mentioned beforehand, but pretty revolutionary that you can buy these things and just start getting royalties from huge artists.
Oh, absolutely. Again, this is going to be something that just completely changes the music industry. We're flipping things on their heads now. It's great.
Yeah, just imagine if Vince Sevenfold offered something like that on their next drop.
That would be
Big.
crazy.
Oh man, just thinking
But
about
that would be amazing to have that chance to own, even if they didn't do like something where it was full catalog like these other guys. If they dropped something, they were like, "Oh, next song, Hail to the Queen." We're gonna give rights to, however many people catch this. That's an amazing opportunity. For one, you're owning a part of your band's, your favorite band's history and all of that.
Yeah.
But
It also
also,
means
even
that they don't have to succumb to the record labels, They don't have
well,
to
yeah,
fall victim to that.
that's another thing. Even as not a fan of a certain artist or band, you have a stake and a claim in them. Even if like using the Avenged Sevenfold example, if I don't care for metal, but I'm like, oh, this is a pretty popular band, and they're offering this thing, let me jump on there, get some money off of it. It creates this ecosystem around the band, even without having to be a fan of the band.
It helps
Exactly.
bands, it helps fans. It hopefully will lend more insight into how, let me just, pardon my French here, but bloody annoying record labels can be with the
Yeah.
bands that are under them,
Absolutely.
and how some bands can be treated, admittedly quite poorly by their record labels, whether it's, whatever it may be. So I definitely think that giving back to the fans as well as giving the band some liberation as well, I think that's pretty cool, pretty exciting, in my opinion.
For real.
Yeah. Really cool stuff.
Of course, if you've got any more questions about royalties or anything like that, or anything in any of our podcasts, stick your questions in the comments section on this video. Nice one. Cool.
Cool.
Where are we going through next, guys? I think I'm done
Oh,
here. I think my voice is
I do have a
done.
question. I do have something I would like to add to that.
Sure.
So sometimes you may run into an artist who passes. Generally speaking, the artist would leave whoever their royalties and stuff go to in their wills, or however that works out. If they don't, it generally goes to an estate, which is made up of family members or whoever. So just something to keep in mind for our seconds of life.
Yes.
But yeah, we're gonna jump over to proof of ownership now.
Yes, we
Going
are.
from
Hello.
decentralization and what that means for artists and creators. What is the thing that we always tell everybody? When we say we get the questions, it's like, well, can't I just right click or screenshot and I'm good?
Oh man.
It's not about that.
Okay.
It's not about that.
let me
It's about the proof of ownership. And Wildcat, why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Let me tell you some stuff. So the amount of people I see asking, can I just screenshot this? Can I just right click save? It's a lot. And, it is a valid question to ask. Like, what is stopping someone from just going, okay, I've screenshotted it, it's mine now. What are you going to do about it, bitch? Like, that is a genuine question that comes up a lot, because this is why the blockchain is so important. As we mentioned earlier, everything is recorded, so the official owner of that is recorded. And this is where a lot of the value of NFTs comes from. They have value because you know, unlike most images on the web, you can't just save a copy and it's yours. Like, that's not how it works. You can't just...
I mean, you can. But
You-
what's the...
Dark, I
what-
swear to God.
Well, no, hold on. You can. But what does that do for you? It's meaningless.
Well, first of all, it makes you look like a bit of a butthole.
dick.
Yeah, a dick, a butthole. It makes you look really bad. Especially if you run around claiming, oh, hey, look, everyone, I've got this cool picture, it's mine, you can't touch it. Like, people are gonna look, and they go, hi, yeah, which one of these owners are you? Because, these are the guys that have owned it in the past, and it ain't yours, so, you know, what's the deal? But also, a lot of the times, you know, NFTs come with their own special perks and stuff, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But the whole big deal about NFTs is being able to have that proof of ownership. And that's the important thing. If you don't have the proof of ownership, it's essentially worthless, right? So, you know, when you find an NFT, you can view it, you can all see it and admire it and go, oh, I really want that thing. But unlike, you know, just being able to right-click save an image, like, you can't claim it, you can't change it, like, you know, it is someone else's until you actually buy it. So, yes, NFTs have proof of ownership. When you buy it, you are given the right to transfer and hold that token into your own wallet, and it has all the data and all the blockchain information to show that this is the original piece and it is in your hands now. And the way this works, I won't go into it too much because it is a bit complicated and even my tiny brain's trying to get around it. But it's essentially established by encrypted data that comes with both the NFT and also your own private keys that you hold in your wallet. They all work together to decrypt and verify that yes, this is the original, this is official, this is all good. Congratulations, you are the owner. Does that make sense?
It
Yes.
100% makes sense. 100% it makes sense.
Okay,
I mean,
cool.
I mean, that's like, I'm gonna go. I was gonna say I'm gonna go mask off here, but what I mean by that is that I vividly recall. Okay, I'm gonna try to be vague here because I don't. Okay, I'm gonna try to be vague here, but I'm also gonna try to hammer the point home.
Yes.
Hammer
I
it
remember.
home.
I vividly remember getting into. I'm not gonna say an argument, but a little bit of a passionate discussion about whether or not NFTs are cringe or not. And basically, the situation that I was put in was I was the only person in this situation who was like, NFTs are actually not that bad, but then everyone else around me was like, anybody who buys NFT is cringe and unbased. And I'm just like, I just had to like hold in
Yeah.
all of the. I'm holding it in now. And I'm going to get to the point. And what is this? And the person I was talking passionately with. That sounds bad. I mean, like I was getting really angry at them, but I had to hold it in. Nothing bad, I promise. But essentially, they were like, "Oh, but can't you just screenshot it? Can't you just save the image?" And I'm just like, "So you're admitting that you don't want to support an artist? You're admitting that you want to just,
Yeah.
you're
Sure.
like, why are you admitting this? Why are you admitting that you don't want to support artists who are reaching out into new mediums and new spaces? What's your
Exactly.
problem?" They're just like, "Oh, it's so bad for the environment." And I'm just like, you're bad for the environment.
Okay.
I didn't say that, but I thought about
Jesus.
it.
Okay, we have some
Okay.
thoughts here.
Humans are bad for the environment.
That's
Well,
a
the citation
podcast
is
for
trust
another
me,
day.
bro. But the point is, it's really frustrating for people to say this. It's like, this person was like, "Oh yeah, I've read a lot about it," but then they don't mention anything about, the ownership or anything. They're just like, "Oh, can't I just screenshot it?"
Yeah.
I'm just like, if you're so apparently educated on this stuff, why can't you tell me anything about ownership and
Yeah.
that whole process? But instead you're
Well,
hammering home that, oh, I can just right click and save it.
Yeah.
well, if I can jump in here, like that's the whole point of this. Is sure you can right click and save it. You'll be a bit of a dick if you do. It's not
Major
yours.
dick.
At the end of the day, you're stealing art from the artist and the creator.
Absolutely.
But second of all, that ownership is very important because it gives you access to a club of sorts.
It does.
And with that, it
Unity,
gives you
yeah.
access to utilities.
Absolutely. Perfect segue. Let me tell you about utilities, because when anyone asks me what I look for in NFTs, yes, the art is lovely. There are some projects I adore just because the art looks amazing.
Just not
Not
Fox.
gonna lie. Yeah, let's not talk about that one, okay? But yes, so utilities. Why do I love utilities? Well, as Dark said, it's essentially like getting a little badge to come into a club. You you own this NFT and you are welcomed into these communities as one of their own, and you get exclusive access to whatever that community decides to offer. So there are many that offer things, like certain events that you can partake in, or airdrops, or merch, or competitions, all kinds of crazy stuff,
Yeah, like
And that's base level.
like purchasing an NFT or getting involved in collections is not this one-sided, bland, like, it's not like that. There's so much more that happens once you get into purchasing. That's not me being like, you guys need to purchase NFTs. That's me saying, if you do, there's a lot more that comes with it. It's not just, oh, it says that this is owned by me and it shows up on my OpenSea account. Thumbs up,
Exactly.
there's so much more than that. And that's
Yeah.
what I feel like a lot of people are trying to do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like community meetups, cough cough, wicked craniums.
Oh,
There's
yes.
stuff like that. And the stuff that you mentioned earlier, Wildcat. All of this stuff happens. It's not just, oh, I bought a funny JPEG with my funny fake money.
Yeah.
There's so much more than that, and I feel like for a lot of people, it stops there because they think it's like some like delusional, depraved way of buying art.
Yeah.
To some people, that's what it is, unfortunately. And to me, it's less of me getting angry at these people for not understanding and just feeling bad, I guess, or just
Yeah.
kind of wishing that these people were more educated on it, because
Yeah.
it makes me really sad to know that people just stop there. They're just like, oh, I think I know enough. Now I can
Yeah.
go back to shitting all over it. Like
Absolutely.
I find it makes me really sad
Yeah.
instead of getting angry at people, to be honest.
Yeah. This is the thing, like, yeah, NFTs look expensive on the surface, but a lot of them do have a lot of utilities to back up that price. You mentioned the Wicked Craniums meetups, which, obviously isn't the most expensive thing in the world, but think about, I think it's Royal Society of Players are hosting proper big meetups and parties for their holders.
Yeah, yeah.
So you buy into it, you get these kind of rewards. Some NFTs let you use items in game. So I think we've briefly mentioned things like. Yeah, I was going to say we've briefly mentioned Sandbox before. You can, there are certain NFTs that in the future can be used for, Sandbox as maybe avatars or items or all kinds of stuff. What was that, Doc?
Also, you can buy land on OpenSea.
You can. So if you want to be able to make your own stuff, you know where to go. But yeah, you can use them in Sandbox. Some projects are actually making their own games that you can use their NFTs in. So you buy the NFT, you get access to that game. I think Wicked Cranium's actually partnered with such a project, and you can use your Cranium avatars for that game. You can also have NFT projects that have unlockable content like books, entire books for you to read. Again, mentioning Craniums, it's actually a kind of spin-off of that with Wicked Cranium's Lore of the Dead and the Heart of the Berserker, which is really cool to me. Like, I don't read as much nowadays, but I was an avid book kid and I'm trying to get back into it. So seeing, books coming into NFT and kind of revolutionizing that space, like, that's really cool to me.
Yeah, and to add on to that, it goes back to the whole thing about how utilities excite people a lot, and I feel like some people understand it, some people don't. They're just like, oh, I'm just buying an art piece, aren't I? It's a really expensive JPEG, And as much as people can say that as much as they want, but they're the ones who are missing out on all this community stuff. So like, why should I bother?
Exactly. And the thing is, it doesn't even stop there. If you've been following the Avenged Sevenfold Discord and the Avenged Sevenfold Into the Ether NFTs, you'll know that two of the traits just have been released over the last couple of weeks/months. You know, you could get free tickets for life or free meet and greets for life if you hold certain NFTs. Obviously, the value of these projects is going to be, you know, a little higher for that kind of reward, but, you know, it's still something that can be done, and, you know, who knows what they could do in the future. And probably the absolutely wildest example I've seen of an NFT trait. You guys ready for this?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes.
I discovered the other day that Till Lindemann from Rammstein, if you buy his NFTs, you can have dinner with him in Moscow, Russia.
That's
Oh my
amazing.
god, I'm gonna make a MetaMask account right now.
Imagine that. I looked into this because I was actually very curious. So, yeah, it's, what was it, 100,000 euro, I think it was, to buy one of these NFTs.
Just a simple pocket change.
Oh yeah, you know, let me just go grab my bank card so I can go put some funds in. But no, you spend $100,000, 100,000 euro on an NFT, and you can go to Russia to have dinner with Till Lindemann. Although something else very interesting came up during my research on this. He's kind of in a bit of legal trouble with it because of the museum it was shot in. Because it's like a video.
Really?
Yeah, so they filmed some content in a museum, and when he went to make the NFTs, the museum's like, hang on, we didn't say you could do that. So that's
He didn't even look into the rights?
I don't know, I can't say.
That's kind of cringe of him.
It's a cool concept, don't get me wrong. Just check if your local museum is cool with you doing that, I suppose.
I will give my
I have
2 cents.
mixed feelings.
I don't care about having dinner with an artist. I don't even care if it's M Shadows. I don't care about having dinner with
Sorry,
them.
Matt.
So to me, it's not appealing. But I know there are fans of him and all his different projects.
Yeah.
Well, Doc, if you're not interested, that just means more dinners with M Shadows to me.
But this is the thing, like, you can actually get real world utilities out of this, like, I don't know, dinner with your favorite artist if they offer it, or, I don't know, video calls with them. It's kind of like Cameo, but just with NFTs, I suppose. There's also, you know, I think it was Mr. Bungle. They released their own NFTs.
Yes, I can talk about that.
Yeah, go on.
It's a four-part NFT. It's basically unedited extras from the Disco Volante sessions. And 2 of them are owned by Sinister Gates, 2 of them are owned by M Shadows because nobody told me about them.
And the artwork has Anubis taking a shit, which is the best bit about it.
It is very Bungle, very much the Bungle that I prefer. Please bring back Mr. Bungle.
Are you done? You happy with?
I don't like the hardcore. Yes, I'm done.
That's a podcast for another day,
okay.
my friend.
It's okay, Doc. You can let it out. It's okay.
Yeah, just get worked up sometimes, okay? I'm sorry.
You're all good, my friend. You're all good. All right.
So, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, just one last thing on utilities, and then I'll hop onto burning real quick, like the pyromaniac I am. Yes. Just, you know, real world utilities. Let's look at Birdhouse really quickly. Their roadmap just revealed that their holders get free merch. So, you know, win-win.
I didn't even know that, and I got a Birdhouse yesterday. Good to know.
Well, there you go. Welcome to the Birdhouse. Get some merch.
Should we go over the...
Oh, go on.
Should we go over the Birdhouse thing since there's a new announcement, just to get a heads up about that?
Yeah, do you want to cover that? Have you got that?
Yeah, I can do that real quick if you're done with what you were talking about.
Go on.
All right, so Birdhouse, as everybody knows, I have a murder and I love my murder and I present it all the time. But Birdhouse,
we know.
Birdhouse has some cool stuff coming up. I mean, one, they have a merch drop that they're preparing, and that's going to go to all holders. They're going to try to do it free. I don't know if there's been final confirmation on that, but they are trying to do it free to all holders. Second of all, they're going to have a companion drop. No details on what the actual companions are, but they will have a companion drop where you can get one for each bird you have. And a third drop, and I'll get to little in-betweens in a second. A third drop, which is going to be parts. And I believe this is the birdhouses they were talking about initially. I could be wrong because there are no final confirmed details.
Yeah.
But what it is for these different companions, you get parts to build something. Again, we don't have confirmation on what it is, but that is 2 additional drops you get depending on what you're holding.
Yep.
You might be building a
I did not-
We have no idea what you just said there, mate.
No. Yeah, no idea.
You might be building a birdhouse, but
Please give me a birdhouse to put my bird in.
All right.
And anyways, but you have some additional things that you can do to help liven up your situation. So, I have 3 birds, as we just covered.
Yes.
I get 1 companion for each, and then for each companion I get a part, right?
Wow.
So,
This
I
is the
can-
interesting thing.
yeah,
Because
do
I
you want to
think-
cover that?
Yeah, so this will tiny bit go into burning, but you can burn one of your birds
Yep.
so you claim a second companion. And I know
That's
that sounds really morbid.
it's pretty
But-
metal, actually.
It is quite metal. You can burn a bird to get another bird, essentially, or companion, whatever that
Yeah,
companion may be.
but you get a higher chance at a rarer companion.
Or you can hold on to that bird and claim a part. So it gives you that choice of what do you want to try and achieve with your birds? What do you want out of the project?
Yep. So essentially, in my case, 3 birds, 3 companions, 3 parts.
Yes.
So that is 9 NFTs, and all I'm doing is paying gas on the additional drops.
Yep.
Because they are all free with gas.
Yep. And if that's not a utility, I don't really know what is.
And it is a bit of a game if you think about it, because you're trying to collect these parts to build something. So it's a bit Lego-ish in the way they're doing it.
Yeah, it's really cool for. It works for both those who can afford to spend a lot of money and those who only have, so much to get in with. Like, you can buy a lot of birds and get a lot of parts, or you can try and focus more on companions and just having those NFTs as well.
Yeah.
So,
And I will tell you, we're going to get to floors in just a little bit, like we always do. But birdhouses are still affordable. They're still below mid price.
yeah.
Burn,
now
birdie,
it's time to
burn, disco volante, burn, birdie, burn.
We will be releasing a full cover of that soon.
Without Kieran on vocals, though.
Wow.
Oh, yikes.
We'll have Wildcat cover that. But yes,
Oh,
going off of that,
okay.
but going off of that, burning is a very
Did someone
important thing.
say burning? Because I smell some smoke around here. Okay.
That was
I
it.
just heard boning. Burning
Okay.
is what we're going to talk about
The
next.
smoke and the fire type, yes, let's go. Although there is no smoke and fire involved with this kind of burning. So, we've mentioned it. What the hell is it? Well, okay. Imagine you've got an NFT and you're looking at it and just like, what if I deleted this thing? Well, weirdly enough, you can. And it actually has some interesting effects. So, it is the process of irreversibly removing a token from the Ethereum blockchain by sending them to a verifiably unspendable address. So,
Which means they're gone forever.
yep. Because
Why would you do that?
Well, this is the thing. We often talk about, oh, what if this NFT is in a wallet that no one uses anymore? What if they've forgotten their seed phrase? Well, it's kind of the same process. If you've forgotten your seed phrase, you can't get into your wallet. That means you can't do anything with that NFT. No one can get hold of it. It's gone. And it's the same process with burning.
Well, there's a difference, though. It's
Oh.
still there on the blockchain, which
Yes.
means it brings up the number of available birds if we're talking about a birdhouse.
Yes.
By burning, you're removing it completely, which lessens the amount they're available, thus increasing their rarity.
Absolutely.
So if you wanna just burn all your birds and make every single remaining one in existence that much more valuable and
Yeah.
trip up all of the people that want to get in on birds, you can do that.
Yep.
You can
Well-
do that.
Well, I will tell you, one of our infamous collections recently burned their floor
Yes.
to
they
try
do.
to increase the value of their collection, and it didn't work.
Not
So
yet.
you have to be careful. Not yet. Maybe they'll get lucky.
Yes.
Odds are
Bum,
not
bum,
in their
bum.
favor.
No, because the collection was not. No one was really interested in it anyway. The floor didn't
No,
move
it was a
once.
collection that basically new people got into.
Yeah,
Yeah.
guilty.
There are not a lot of whales going around like, I'm just gonna scoop 100 foxes real quick.
Yeah.
It happens.
But you never
Value
know.
isn't there.
Hide and hodl is what I
So,
say.
anyways, sorry to interrupt you. I just
No,
wanted
you're
to put
good.
my 2 cents in about that. But yeah,
You're
tell me
good.
more
More
about
like your-
burning.
Yeah, so there are some projects that actually incentivize burning, as we've mentioned. You know, a birdhouse, you burn, you get, you know, another companion or something. Also, there are some projects that allow you to combine your tokens. So I think this was Wolfgang, if I'm correct.
There was also the lizards.
Yes.
I can't remember the
there-
full name of the collection, but you
Yeah.
burned them and you got a dragon.
Yes.
Oh.
So you can combine them to either get, you know, a whole new NFT of, like, I don't know, in the case of lizards, like a different species essentially, or you can get like different traits or combine your favorite traits. There's a lot that can be done, but obviously when you do that process, it stops the original, you know, the burned tokens from being used. So they go off somewhere, you cannot get them, no one can get them, they're gone. But in return, you get something. And also, some people just burn them for the sake of value. You know, they don't always incentivize it. They're just like, okay, less of them are available, so, you know, good luck, have fun. So,
It's
depends.
basically creating trying to create a false supply demand issue, and
Yes.
that's when you do it. Obviously, people don't like that. It's the same thing Nintendo does in gaming.
Yeah.
People do not like when you create something out of nothing.
Cough, cough, amiibo shortage, cough, cough.
People do not like Nintendo, period.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of go off on that tangent a little bit, you know, when they recently did the Mario games and said, hey, we're gonna have these available until this time, in which case you can never get it again. And that didn't sit right with a lot of people, but I've recently been into about several different shops with all of them having the game still, so,
Yeah.
you know.
It's weird.
eBay's also a thing, so it doesn't quite work. You've got to do it right to get any sort of effect out of it. You know, if you just do it because, oh, I want to be rich, yeah, friend, that's not really going to work. But if you do it and incentivize your holders, you know, really give them the choice to think about what they're doing and say, is it worth it for me to do this? You know, that's when things are good.
Yeah, and going back to Birdhouse and their burning with the upcoming drops, it's not necessarily they're saying, hey, please burn your stuff. They're not requiring it at all. So it's basically giving the option to you to do it or not. And it gives, again, more power to the people on how they want the secondary market affected.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
People can do whatever they want with art that they have, and I don't see how that's any different to, you know, like I don't see how this process is any different to, you know, you buy an artwork, this person's like, okay, here's this art that I drew, it's yours now, do whatever the fuck you want with it, essentially.
Yeah.
You know, it's no different from that. I'm not saying that to detract from it. That's just how it makes sense to me, I guess.
No, that makes sense. But
So
yeah.
is there, that's burning?
Yes. Oh, one last thing. And you know it's coming. Burning gas.
Burning gas?
Burning NFT.
It's very dangerous. Please don't do it. We do not suggest it.
Yeah, don't do
Not
that.
financial advice.
Burning NFTs costs gas because gas is a bitch.
We abolish gas real quick.
What's that?
Burn gas, abolish gas. Screw that.
That's a whole new
gas.
thing. Another podcast.
We're just gonna, our next episode is just gonna be Wildcat bitching about how much he hates, it'll just be him talking about how much he hates gas for
Can
a
I-
whole
We've already had
half
that
hour.
episode.
I was gonna say, didn't I have that episode like
That
first
was
episode?
last episode.
Was it first? Oh, I don't even remember.
Yeah, last episode was gas is a Yeah.
Oh yes, you are correct. It was indeed.
Oh, it
Oops.
was. We should have more of those. They're very entertaining.
It really is.
Just give me my gas intermission.
Mention gas and Wildcat goes off.
It's like a switch in my brain. Just did someone just say gas?
How dare they? Blasphemous.
Oh man, that's funny. Okay, cool. But yes, that is all I have about being a pyromaniac. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions about burning?
No.
Just please be safe, because, and I'm not saying that in a joking manner. When you get rid of these NFTs, these tokens, they're gone forever. So you'll never have the chance to get that specific NFT back, and no one ever will. So always
Because
make sure you're making a
exclusive.
smart decision because these are financial decisions you're making.
Gotta stress that all of these, pretty much everything almost everything we're talking about is actual finance and actual financial decisions on your part.
Yes.
Nobody's really forcing you to do anything. In fact, nobody's forcing you to do anything at all in the NFT
Yeah.
world. Everything's your own decision, and that being said, it's also your own financial decisions. So,
Yep.
you know.
Always be safe. Always be smart. Use that brain. It's there for a reason, and it loves you.
When your parents told you to not play with fire, they were talking about burning NFTs. Be careful.
It's like
All right, so is there any final thoughts before we close out today's episode, guys?
gas is
just-
a bitch. Wait, sorry.
Just need to
Concentrate.
hit the floors, mate. Hit those
Oh,
floors.
yes.
Floors.
Yeah.
Oh, shit!
Vengeance, were you wanting to cover the floors?
Sure, I'll cover the floors.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
Right, so it looks like we have Wicked Craniums at 0.021 ETH.
Hold that thought.
Wicked-
Hold that thought. So sorry, my fault. Okay, go.
We have Wicked Stallions at 0.04 ETH. Bored Apes Yacht Club at 23 ETH. Bored Ape Kennel Club at 2 ETH. CryptoPunks at 51.5 ETH. Birdhouse at 0.03 ETH. RSOP at 0.22 ETH. Divine Zodiac at 0.02 ETH. Bones Club at 0.04 ETH. WoW at 0.84 ETH. And FLS at 0.7 ETH.
Just to jump in with those abbreviations, because I love my abbreviations.
course,
RSOP
of course.
is Royal Society of Players. WoW is World of Women, and FLS is Fame Lady Squad.
And Fame Lady Squad is the recent rug that we had an issue with.
What?
Do you wanna tell us a little
Okay.
bit about that?
Yeah, so they had a few issues with the people running the project. There's a whole Twitter thread out there somewhere. But TLDR, they have changed owners and are, I would say, in better hands. And the project is making a comeback. So let's go for Fame Lady Squad, I guess.
Yeah, nice. Speaking of
We all-
NFTs, ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce you to John Cena and WWE, who have, they are not on the podcast, they are just a photo of them. They released their first NFT as of recording yesterday, August 20th, 2021. And it's a one of one. It's just a one simple NFT, one of a kind. And with this, they started bidding at I want to say $2,000, or it was either 2,000 or 20,000. I think it was 2,000. But with this, you get a one of a kind NFT, as just mentioned, a once in a lifetime experience at WrestleMania 28 next year, or the WrestleMania afterwards in Los Angeles, with 2 front row tickets, unprecedented VIP access and hotel accommodations, a personalised WWE title belt with the winner's name engraved on the side plates, and John Cena's Doctor of Thugonomics style chain from WrestleMania 35. So the gold tier will drop in time for SummerSlam, which is tonight, and will include 500 limited edition NFTs along with a limited edition merch box personally curated by Cena. So that's the gold, but the platinum is that one-time thing there. The reason I'm pointing this out, obviously, it's at the end, it's not exactly a flaw because it doesn't exist as a flaw. It's a one-time thing. But for WWE, who are the biggest sports entertainment, well, biggest wrestling company in the world, although #CM Punk AEW we're watching.
Let's go.
yeah, this is definitely, I feel it was worth mentioning on today's podcast, seeing as it's such brand new news.
Absolutely. No,
Yeah, glad you mentioned
thanks
that.
for telling us, man.
So are you wrapped up with that?
I'm done. I'm out of
Cool.
here.
I have one thing to say. For those of you that followed us over the last few episodes, we're not 3. The floors, we've always specifically mentioned cunning foxes. And I want to say something about the cunning foxes. And again, this is mine and a couple others here opinion. We're not going to include cunning foxes in our floor overlook for the foreseeable future until, for one, they start getting their shit together, get a roadmap in place, and stop making a mockery of their community. And that is mostly directed at the devs. And yeah, your community is everything. So
Absolutely.
if you're starting your own NFT project, if you're involved with an NFT project collection, you want to make sure that you're taking care of your community. You don't have to be throwing them money hand over fist, but don't treat them like they're juveniles that are just there to support you.
Yeah.
You're there to support them. So again, this is not the entire 7th Layer podcast. This is me and a few others' opinion. But I just wanted to make that note for you guys who are asking, where's the floor for the cunning? That's why it's
Yeah.
not there.
Yeah,
No, I'm
I will
glad you
personally
mentioned
say,
that.
yeah, I will personally say I've been a little disappointed by the things I've seen in the community lately. So, you know, I hope that they can, you know, pull together and just be a good community, because I think they do have the potential. It's just, that's where we're at right now. And you never know, things can change. Things
Yeah.
can change. There is
I
a
think it
lot
was
that can change.
I think it was something that should be said, actually. You know, I feel like when it comes to poor behavior like that, I feel like it needs to be spoken about, or you know, because that
Yeah.
kind of thing really grinds my gears. I definitely feel like that's something that should be mentioned. This is not us trying to beef with the devs at Cunning Foxes. This is us saying, hey, your behavior is really, it's not it, man.
A lot
When
of us are
when
foxes, so
when your holders are asking for information on your plans, you know, sometimes you want to keep things close to the chest, and I get that 100%. But when you're dropping emojis to make them feel stupid, that's out of line completely.
yeah.
And the devs at Cunning Fox, at least one of them, whoever controls the Cunning Foxes account, has done that on multiple occasions. They've also said things on Twitter, and it's completely disrespectful to your holders. Those guys put in money to your community. They're the ones who are supporting you and your collection and your dreams, whatever this is. So if you want to be treated fairly, then treat everyone else fairly. It goes to human decency. We're all humans, but especially the people who support you.
Absolutely.
Never bite the
People-
hand that feeds.
People give money because they expect things in return. People expect to be treated decently. You know, people aren't just throwing money at you to be like, oh yeah, we support you. Oh, by the way, where's the treating us like people and not, you know, like pathetic losers who just throw money out for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're a holder, like Wildcat just said, a few of us are holders. I am not, but a few of us are holders, and I know several people in our NFT community on the official Avenged Sevenfold Discord are, as well as in the world at large of NFTs. We're not saying this is directed at you. I understand there may be frustrations because you're not getting your answers, and that's why we're taking this stance. You have to treat people like they're humans. If you can't do that, then why are you here?
Absolutely.
Preach. Whoa.
So, on that note,
Whoa.
That was spooky.
guys, I'm going to go ahead and close out if there's no final thoughts.
No, fire away,
No.
my man.
All right, guys, thank you again for joining us for the 3rd episode of the 7th Layer podcast. We'll be back here in 2 more weeks for another recorded episode on YouTube at 7th Layer Podcast. We'll also be live at our regular time on the official Avenged Sevenfold Discord. That is 4 p.m. Central. And we'll see you there. Y'all have a good one.
Bye,
Have a
guys.
good one, guys. Cheers.
Peace.